If you have to chase it, it was never yours to begin with. Let that land for a second. Because we live in a world that tells us otherwise. From the moment we're old enough to dream, we're told, go after it, hustle for it, prove you're worthy of it. And so we chase love. We chase recognition. We chase people who barely know who we are. We chase feelings, applause, apologies, the past, even a future we haven't grown into yet. But here's what nobody tells you. Every time you chase, you tell your soul that you are not enough yet. Every time you chase something outside of you, you delay the arrival of what's already within you. And that's the silent poison most of us are living with. Let me ask you something deeply uncomfortable. Why are you chasing? What are you hoping to prove and to whom? Because the moment you start reaching outwards for validation, for love, for closure, you reinforce a lie that you are empty without them, that you are incomplete without it, that your power exists outside of you. And it doesn't. See, I learned this the hard way. There was a period in my life when I was chasing things I thought would finally complete me. The perfect relationship, the right job title, the next big opportunity. But what I didn't realize is that chasing isn't about momentum, it's about lack. It's a signal to your mind, your body, your spirit that you're not there yet and that you'll never be unless something out there comes to rescue you. But here's the truth. You don't need rescuing. You need remembering. You need to remember that the most magnetic people on this planet, the ones who seem to attract everything without trying, are the ones who've stopped chasing completely. They don't chase because they've done the inner work. They've sat with the silence. They've healed the wound that once begged for attention. They've stopped outsourcing their worth to things that were never designed to hold it. They're not playing the game of pick me, see me, validate me. They've picked themselves. They've seen themselves. They've validated themselves. And that right there is what makes them powerful. So what happens when you stop chasing? You stop needing to be chosen and you start choosing yourself. You stop waiting for the apology and you become your own peace. You stop hoping they'll come back and you return to yourself. That shift, that's where the real power begins. Because chasing will keep you small. Becoming will set you free. Let's get clear. You were not born to beg for what you already deserve. You were not put on this earth to shrink yourself so others can feel more comfortable. You are not here to twist, bend, or break in order to fit a mold that was never built for you. You are here to rise. And to rise, you must stop chasing what was never yours to begin with. Now, I get it. Letting go of the chase feels terrifying. It feels like surrendering control. It feels like doing nothing. But that's where most people get it wrong. You're not doing nothing. You're redirecting. You're turning that outward search inward. You're taking the energy you used to give away to people, situations, stories, and reinvesting it back into yourself. You're saying, I'm done handing out the keys to my peace like candy. I'm done leaking energy just to feel seen. I'm done mistaking effort for alignment. There's a powerful quote I often remind myself of. You attract not by chasing, but by becoming. And becoming isn't passive. It's the most active, disciplined, and sacred work you will ever do. It means asking the hard questions. Who am I when no one is watching? What am I hiding behind my ambition? What wounds am I still bleeding from in silence? It means sitting in the discomfort of not having and choosing to feel whole anyway. It means walking away from the people who only love the broken version of you and stepping into the version who no longer needs their approval. Let me give it to you straight. If you're begging for love, it's not love. If you're begging for respect, it's not respect. If you're begging for peace, it's not peace. Real alignment doesn't need to be convinced. It flows. It arrives. It stays not because you chased it, but because you prepared for it. So today, I'm inviting you into a different kind of life. Not one where you hustle to feel enough, but one where you're already whole and everything else is a bonus. Not one where you beg for presence, but one where your presence is the blessing not one where you chase validation, but one where you live so aligned that anything not meant for you can't survive in your energy. This is the season of becoming, and becoming requires honesty. So let me ask you something. What are you still chasing and what is it costing you? Are you chasing someone who left? Are you chasing success to prove your worth? Are you chasing closure because you haven't given it to yourself? Be honest, be brutal, be free. Because the moment you stop chasing, the real work begins. The work of self-ownership, the work of emotional clarity, the work of remembering who you were before the world convinced you to doubt it. That's the path you're stepping into now. And I want to thank you for walking it with me. If this message stirred something in you, I invite you to pause, reflect, and if you feel called, leave a comment. Tell me what you're no longer chasing. Tell me what version of you is rising now. Like this video if it resonated. HTA, subscribe if you're ready for deeper transformation. Because this journey isn't about chasing the next answer. It's about becoming the one who doesn't need to chase at all. Thank you for showing up today. This is just the beginning. Here's the truth. Most people never want to admit. You are always broadcasting something, even when you're silent, even when you're smiling, even when you're saying, I'm fine. You are transmitting your frequency to the world. And the universe doesn't respond to your words. It doesn't respond to your affirmations. It doesn't even respond to your effort. It responds to your energy. Let me repeat that because it's everything. The field doesn't give you what you want. It mirrors who you are. Now, let's be honest. We've all been there, saying all the right things. I love myself. I'm enough. I don't need validation. But deep down, we're panicking when someone pulls away. We're refreshing the page, hoping they've messaged back. We're tying our identity to an outcome, a person, a job, a maybe. And that's not alignment. That's energetic desperation dressed up as spirituality. You see, desperation is sneaky. It hides behind positivity. It masks itself as manifesting. It cloaks itself in vision boards and affirmations. But desperation always leaks. It shows up in your breath when you're anxious, in your body language when you're performing, in your reactions when you feel ignored. The quantum field picks up on it even when others don't. You might be saying, I am whole. But if your nervous system is still holding on to rejection, abandonment, or scarcity, the field doesn't hear your words, it hears your wound. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're planting a seed. You water it, you nurture it, you trust the process. But if you dig it up every 10 minutes to see if it's growing, you're not planting, you're panicking. And that's what many of us are doing with our dreams, our relationships, our growth. We speak of trust, but we behave in fear. We say we've let go, but our energy is gripping tight. So the question is, what energy are you truly operating from? Are you aligned, grounded in wholeness? Or are you desperate trying to fill a hole with more effort, more force, more proof? Because alignment and desperation can look the same on the surface. Both can be ambitious. Both can be action-oriented. Both can speak the language of growth. But underneath, they carry completely different signatures. Alignment feels like, I already am. I trust the timing. I don't need this to define me. Desperation feels like, I hope this proves I'm enough. I need this to happen now. I can't relax until I get it. One is rooted in identity. The other is built on insecurity. One expands you. The other drains you. So how do you shift? How do you move from that fear-based frequency into true energetic alignment? You start by getting brutally honest with yourself. Stop asking, what do I want? Start asking, why do I need it so badly? Because behind every desperate chase is a part of you that believes you are not lovable without that person. You are not successful without that job. You are not valuable unless you're chosen. That's the voice of your past, not your power. Let me give you a deeper truth. Desperation is not just about what you're doing, it's about what you're believing. Beliefs like, if I don't get this, I've failed. If they don't stay, I'm not enough. If this doesn't happen now, it's over. These are subconscious contracts we signed long ago in childhood, in heartbreak, in trauma. But guess what? You can rewrite the contract. You can choose a new belief. You can realign your energy starting today. And that's where the magic happens. When you begin to feel the emotions of your future before anything changes, when you decide to feel love before they arrive, when you embody peace even in uncertainty, when you walk with confidence not because of applause, but because you remembered your worth. Now you're no longer chasing, you're broadcasting, you're transmitting. You're becoming the signal, not the seeker. There's a phrase I love: energy doesn't lie. You can say the right things. You can post the right quotes. You can act calm on the surface. But if your energy is still operating from fear, it'll always find a way to show. So instead of pretending to be in alignment, do the work to become it. Let me ask you something. If I could offer you everything you've ever wanted, love, success, peace, but with one condition, you could never chase anything again, would you accept? Could you stop the proving? Could you stop the controlling? Could you sit in stillness and trust that what is meant for you will find you, not because you chased it, but because you became it? That's the challenge. That's the invitation. That's the shift from desperation to alignment. Because aligned people don't force. They don't beg. They don't manipulate timelines or bend themselves out of shape to be chosen. They become so rooted in who they are that the universe cannot ignore them. And when you reach that point, you're not waiting for the thing to complete you anymore. You're attracting it because it recognizes you. That's what happens when you stop broadcasting lack and start transmitting wholeness. So here's your reminder. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to earn your worth. You don't need to grip so tightly, because what's meant for you will never require you to abandon yourself to get it. Say it with me. I no longer chase from fear. I align from faith. Let that become your frequency. Let that become your truth. Let that become the energy you walk into every room with. You cannot become a new version of yourself by thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and reacting to life the same way you always have. Let me say it simply. You can't create a new future while dragging the energy of your past behind you like a shadow. And yet, that's what most people are doing every single day. They wake up, check their phone, feel the same anxiety, respond to the same triggers, replay the same pain, carry the same guilt, and they wonder why their life never changes. They ask, why am I stuck? The answer isn't outside you. It's in your patterns. Your body is addicted to who you used to be. That might sound extreme, but it's neuroscience. You've repeated certain thoughts and emotions for so long that they've become hardwired into your biology. Your body doesn't just remember your trauma, it relives it. It doesn't just recall yesterday's pain, it recreates it. This is called the emotional signature of the past. And unless you interrupt that pattern, it becomes your personality. It becomes your identity. It becomes the prison you can't see but feel in everything you do. Let's break this down. Every emotion you don't process becomes a program. Every belief you don't challenge becomes a ceiling. Every trigger you don't face becomes a leash that keeps pulling you back to an outdated version of you. So what do? You interrupt it. You stop allowing your nervous system to autoplay yesterday. You become conscious. You observe instead of react. You pause instead of perform. You breathe instead of beg. That's how transformation starts. Not with a breakthrough, but with a pattern interrupt. Now, here's what nobody tells you. The greatest act of personal power isn't becoming someone new. It's unbecoming the version of you that's no longer aligned. And that requires discomfort. Because the old you, they're not just familiar, they're comfortable. They're safe. They're predictable. But safe isn't your calling. Predictable isn't your potential. You are not here to be a rerun. You are here to evolve. Let me ask you something powerful. Who is running your life, your conscious choice, or your emotional addiction? Are you choosing your day, or is your past choosing it for you? Think about it. If you wake up thinking about what went wrong, if you reach for your phone before your breath, if your first emotion is fear, regret, resentment, or anxiety, then your past just hijacked your present, and it will rob your future too, unless you stop it. So how do you break free? You disrupt the loop. Before the world touches you, you touch yourself with intention. You wake up and breathe with awareness. You sit in stillness before you sit in judgment. You speak gratitude before the voice of fear gets a chance to whisper. And you say to yourself, I am not yesterday. I am not my worst moment. I am not the person who needs to beg for peace. You create the emotional tone of your future before the past steals it. Now, I want you to understand something very important. Your nervous system isn't your enemy. It's just been trained by repetition. You felt unworthy for so long. Your body thinks that's who you are. You felt anxious for so long. Your heart races at peace. You've been chasing for so long. Stillness feels like suffocation. That's not failure. That's programming. And the beautiful thing about programming is it can be rewritten. This is where your real work begins. Not in trying to fix everything, not in waiting for the apology, not in hustling harder, but in training your nervous system to feel safe in the new you. Because here's the paradox of change. You want a new life, but your body resists the unfamiliar. It craves the old pain because it knows how to survive there. That's why people relapse. That's why people go back to the ex, the habit, the job, the pattern. Not because it's good, but because it's familiar. You are not weak for feeling the pull of your past. You are human, but you are also powerful. And power means choice. So the next time you feel yourself slipping into the old story, the old identity, the old trigger, pause it. Observe it like a scientist, not a victim. Ask yourself, is this who I want to be today? Or is this who I've just been rehearsing to be? Because every emotion you allow is a rehearsal. Every reaction you repeat is a signal. Every time you give your energy to the past, you're practicing a future you don't want. So what do we do instead? We create interrupt rituals, simple moments that break the emotional autopilot. Before checking your phone in the morning, sit in silence for 2 minutes. When you feel triggered, breathe 5 deep breaths instead of responding. When you feel lack, speak 1 sentence of wholeness. I already am. When you feel the urge to chase, return to your breath. These seem small, but they are massive because every time you choose presence over programming, you are rewiring your identity. And eventually, you stop feeling like the old version of you. The triggers get quieter. The neediness dissolves. The emotions of yesterday fade. And you begin to live from a new emotional signature, one of power, of stability, of peace, of trust. And from that place, you don't just attract differently, you respond differently. You don't beg, you don't shrink, you don't spiral. You observe, you breathe, you become. So here's my challenge to you today. Interrupt the pattern before the pattern interrupts your life. Don't wait for the breakdown. Don't wait for the betrayal. Don't wait for the anxiety to hit. Choose to wake up differently. Choose to breathe differently. Choose to feel differently, even if it feels awkward at first, because the awkwardness is not failure. It's evidence of growth. It's your body learning a new language, the language of your future self. Here's a truth most people don't understand until it's too late. You can think like your future self. You can journal like your future self. You can even talk about your goals all day long. But unless your body feels safe as that version of you, nothing changes. Because transformation doesn't happen in your mind. It happens in your nervous system. It happens when your body stops flinching at peace. It happens when love doesn't trigger panic. It happens when silence doesn't feel like rejection. That's when you're no longer pretending you're embodying. Let's break that down. Most people know what they want. They say, I want to feel whole. I want to attract healthy relationships. I want to feel confident. But what they don't realize is you can't think your way into that identity. You have to feel your way into it. You have to rehearse it so deeply that your body begins to believe it's already true. Because until your biology accepts it, your life will reject it. Let me give you an example. You say, I am worthy. But when someone compliments you, you shrink You deflect, you get awkward, you minimize yourself. That's not because you're lying, it's because your nervous system still believes your old story. And that old story, it's louder than your affirmations. It's deeper than your morning routine. It lives in your shoulders, your breath, your posture, your tone. It's not your words, it's your embodiment. So how do you change that? How do you stop just thinking like your future self and start feeling like them? You practice emotional rehearsal. You close your eyes and you breathe in the emotion of who you're becoming. You don't wait for the moment to arrive, you create the chemistry now. You wake up and ask, if I was already the future version of me, how would I feel today? Not what would I wear? Not what would I do? How would I feel? Safe, grounded, grateful, confident, loved. And then before anything changes on the outside, you generate that on the inside. That's embodiment. Let me show you why this matters. If you want to attract a relationship that is calm, secure, respectful, but you're only familiar with chaos, games, and chasing, then peace will feel boring and you will sabotage the very thing you prayed for. Not because you don't deserve it, but because your body hasn't rehearsed how to hold it. This is why so many people attract opportunities and then lose them. They manifest a job, a person, a breakthrough, but they haven't trained their system to feel safe at that level. So they self-destruct, they overthink, they run, not because they're unworthy, but because they're unprepared. Let me ask you something real. Are you preparing to receive what you've asked for? Not intellectually, but emotionally. Are you practicing what peace feels like? Or are you still addicted to adrenaline and drama? Are you creating from stillness? Or are you rushing from lack? Because the field only mirrors your being, not your effort, not your hope, not your hustle, your being. This is why emotional rehearsal isn't fluff. It's frequency, it's spiritual training, it's quantum alignment. You sit every morning before the noise and you embody the feeling of already loved, already worthy, already peaceful, already fulfilled. And from that space, you are no longer attracting from desperation. You are magnetizing from identity. Here's how you do it. Sit in stillness, not with your to-do list, not with your phone, with your breath, with your heartbeat, with your soul. Let your body arrive fully. Feel your future, not visualize it, feel it. What emotion lives inside the version of you who's already healed, already confident, already in alignment? Practice holding it. Let it live in your chest. Let it rise in your breath. Let it soften your muscles. Let it flood your cells. You are teaching your body, this is who I am now. You do this not once, not twice, but every single day until peace is your default, until confidence doesn't need to be forced, until love doesn't feel like a threat, until your old wounds no longer make decisions for you. Because when the inside changes, the outside follows. Now, let me be real with you. Your body will resist. It'll whisper, this isn't real. It'll try to pull you back into the old identity, into the pain, into the scarcity, into the story. And in that moment, you get to choose, do I go back to who I was, or do I practice being who I'm becoming? That choice made over and over again is embodiment. It's power. It's how you change your frequency and your future. Remember, you are not your past. You are your practice. You are not your pain. You are your pattern. You are not your trauma. You are your training. And every single day you wake up and feel differently on purpose. You're rewriting your biology. You're reprogramming your nervous system. You're turning maybe one day into I already am. This is why some people walk into a room and everything shifts. It's not their appearance. It's not their title. It's not their status. It's their embodiment. They walk like they've already arrived. They breathe like peace isn't negotiable. They move through life as if nothing outside of them defines them. And when you reach that state, you don't chase energy. You become it. So ask yourself this. What would it feel like to walk through life as your future self right now? Before the money, before the love, before the recognition, Could you hold that posture? Could you breathe that emotion? Could you walk with that softness? Could you move with that clarity? Because the more you rehearse it, the more it becomes real. And when it becomes real in your body, the world has no choice but to match it. Let's get something straight. Detachment is not cold. It's not cruel. It's not indifference. Detachment is emotional power. It is the sacred decision to stop letting your peace depend on what others do, say, or feel about you. It's the art of being in the world but not owned by it. Because if you're still checking your phone every 10 minutes waiting for a message, if you're still refreshing social media hoping someone validates your worth, if you still need their presence to feel safe or their attention to feel worthy, then you're not in control. Your triggers are. And let me tell you, you can't manifest a powerful life from that state. You can't attract real love, real alignment, or real success when you're still chasing from fear. Let me ask you this. Have you ever lost yourself waiting for someone to love you back? Have you ever stayed in a situation not because it fed your soul, but because it filled your insecurity? That's what emotional attachment looks like when it's born from wounds. It's not love. It's not connection. It's emotional survival dressed up as loyalty, and it will drain you. Here's what most people never realize. The need to control outcomes comes from unhealed trauma, from a nervous system that once felt powerless, from a child who didn't feel seen, heard, or safe. So now, as adults, we grip. We hold on too tightly. We try to micromanage life. We think, if I can just keep this person, if I can just control the timing, then I'll be okay. But you won't, because anything you grip from fear will eventually slip away. True detachment is not avoidance. It's not pretending you don't care. It's the power to care without collapsing, to love without losing yourself, to want without needing, to desire without desperation. Detachment is not pushing things away, it's holding them loosely. It's knowing that if it's meant for you, it will stay. And if it's not, you'll still be whole. Think of it like this. Imagine you're holding a butterfly. If you grip too tightly, you crush it. If you hold it gently, it rests, it breathes, it may even fly back to you. That's what life is like. When you cling, you destroy. When you detach, you create space. And that space, that's where peace lives. But detachment is hard because it requires one thing most of us avoid: trust. Trust that even if they leave, you will stay. Trust that even if it doesn't work out, something greater is aligning. Trust that your energy doesn't need validation to matter. And trust, by the way, isn't passive. It's the strongest spiritual muscle you can develop. It's saying, I release this not because I don't care, but because I care about myself more. Let's get practical for a moment. Here are signs you're still emotionally attached in a toxic way. You replay conversations hoping you said the right thing. You check your phone constantly, hoping they'll reach out. You feel anxious when someone takes too long to respond. You need external situations to go a certain way to feel okay. This is not love. This is dependency. And dependency masquerading as love will always rob you of your freedom. So what's the shift? You stop making people your anchor and you become your own. You stop outsourcing your worth and you return it to yourself. Detachment sounds like, I hope it works out, but I don't need it to. I care deeply, but I won't lose myself to prove it. I trust that what's real will stay and what isn't will make space. That's not cold. That's conscious. That's emotional maturity. Let's go deeper. You say you want peace, but if you're still reacting every time someone pulls back, if you're still waiting for closure, if you're still needing their energy to feel worthy, you're not at peace, you're in emotional survival. And survival energy can't create, it can't attract, it can't hold the future you want. So you must upgrade your relationship with detachment, not as a coping mechanism, but as a lifestyle. Detachment is when you walk away from what disturbs your nervous system. You stop explaining your growth to those committed to misunderstanding it. You no longer negotiate your boundaries to keep love. You don't panic when things slow down because you trust divine timing. That's not giving up. That's energetic sovereignty. That's the emotional power of knowing nothing real requires begging. Nothing aligned requires force. Nothing sacred will ever require you to sacrifice your peace. Let me ask you something powerful. What are you still clinging to that's already left you? What are you holding on to that's already drained you? What are you gripping because you're too afraid to let go? You don't need to answer me, but you do need to answer yourself, because that's where the freedom starts. Not in letting go of the thing, but in letting go of the identity that said, I need this to be okay. The next version of you, the future you've been manifesting, it can't meet you in this energy because the field responds to your frequency, not your fantasy. And if your frequency is still fear, control, or unworthiness, you'll repel what's meant for you, even if it knocks at your door. So here's the mantra. I release with love. I detach with power. I trust what is mine cannot miss me. Say that when the anxiety rises. Say that when you want to chase. Say that when your nervous system begs for familiarity. Say it until your body begins to believe it. Because when your body believes, your reality shifts. You don't need to control everything. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to prove your value. You just need to stand so rooted in your truth that nothing misaligned survives in your presence. That's detachment. That's emotional power. That's freedom. Transformation doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens in what you do with that moment every single day after. Because let me tell you the truth, no one wants to hear. Breakthroughs are easy. Holding them is the real work. Anyone can have an emotional high, a spiritual awakening, a powerful realization. You've had them. I've had them. Moments where you feel unshakable, where you say, I'll never go back to the old me again. But what happens when you wake up the next day and your nervous system is still wired for survival? What happens when your body still remembers the pain, even though your mind has moved on? You relapse. Not because you're weak, but because you haven't rewired the system that's running the show. Here's the harsh truth. You can't heal the mind and ignore the body. You can't declare, I'm no longer chasing love, while your body still panics when someone pulls away. You can't say, I've found peace, while your breath shortens and your heart races every time things slow down. That's not failure, that's biology. Your nervous system isn't broken, it's just conditioned. And what's conditioned can be reconditioned. You are not your thoughts, you are your practice responses. Let that sink in. You're not your past, you're not your trauma, you're not your worst decision. You are the sum of what your body has practiced feeling. Anxiety isn't just in your mind, it's in your chemistry. Fear isn't just a thought, it's a nervous system reflex. Shame isn't just a story, it's a muscle memory. And if you want to become someone new, you don't just need to think new thoughts, you need to feel new feelings consistently until your body believes them more than your wounds. Let me ask you something deep. When you say, I'm healing, what are you actually doing? Are you reading another book, listening to another podcast, telling yourself, I know better now? Or are you actively retraining your nervous system? Are you breathing through discomfort instead of reacting? Are you creating safety inside yourself instead of seeking it from others? Because knowing what to do and doing what you know are not the same. Here's what I've learned from years of studying ancient wisdom and modern science. Your nervous system must become your partner, not your prison. It's not enough to intellectualize your growth. You have to practice your new identity until it's automatic. You have to train your body. That peace is safe. That love doesn't require self-abandonment. That you can be seen and still be secure. That being alone isn't danger, it's clarity. This is not just healing, this is recoding. So how do you actually do it? Here's the process I use and teach. 1. Witness the trigger, don't become it. Your body will pull you back into the old response. That's okay. Don't fight it. Watch it. Say, there's the old story. There's the urge to chase. There's the fear. Witness it like you're watching a cloud pass, not like you're standing in the storm. 2. Interrupt the pattern physically. Move, shake, breathe, get up from the chair, splash cold water. Do something that reminds your nervous system, we're not in danger anymore. You're not just calming down, you're teaching your body to regulate. 3, flood your body with a new emotion. Sit, close your eyes, ask, what does peace feel like? What does it feel like to be enough? Then breathe it in, stretch it out. Let your body experience a new emotional reality before anything changes externally. Let me be clear, this is not a one-time thing. This is daily devotion. You can't just touch peace and expect your nervous system to memorize it. You have to build a relationship with peace, with trust, with worthiness. You have to show your body, this is who we are now. This is our new home. And just like training a muscle, the more you repeat it, the more it becomes your default. The goal isn't to never be triggered again. The goal is to not become the trigger, to notice the pain, but not build a house in it, to feel the fear, but not obey it, to hear the old story, but choose not to narrate your life from it. This is holding the shift. This is the point where most people fall off. They touch freedom, but don't live in it. They glimpse a new self, but don't commit to it. Not because they don't want to, but because their body hasn't been trained to stay. So what do? You keep choosing the future. You keep rehearsing the feeling. You keep creating safety within yourself until the old version of you no longer feels like home. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get consistent. Every time you breathe instead of react, you win. Every time you pause instead of spiral, you win. Every time you regulate instead of beg, you win. Because slowly your nervous system begins to trust you. You are building a self that can hold what you've been asking for. You're no longer just a receiver of good things. You are now equipped to sustain them, to embody them, to live them without fear, doubt, or self-sabotage. And that's the difference between inspiration and transformation. So here's your invitation today. Train your body to trust what your mind already knows. Your mind says, asterisk, I am worthy. Train your body to feel that even when they walk away, your mind says, I am safe. Train your body to breathe that even when nothing goes to plan. Your mind says, I am loved. Train your body to receive that even if no one is clapping. Because when your nervous system learns to hold the new identity, the external world aligns to reflect it. Let me ask you something that could change your life. What if the version of you you're trying to become is already inside of you, just waiting for a ritual to wake it up? Not a routine, not a hack, not a temporary fix, a ritual, a sacred, repeatable practice that aligns your identity, energy, and reality before the world touches you. Because here's what most people don't understand. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your nervous system. You fall back into the version of you that feels most familiar, most rehearsed, most emotionally safe. And unless you create a new emotional home, you'll keep living in the ruins of the old one. That's where the future self-coherence ritual comes in. This isn't about doing more. It's about becoming more aligned. It's how you stop reacting to life and start designing it. It's how you stop chasing energy and start broadcasting it. It's how you stop hoping and start becoming. This is the daily practice that takes you from inspiration to embodiment. Let's start with the truth. Your frequency isn't random, it's rehearsed. So if you want to change your life, you have to rehearse a different signal. Not once, not when you're feeling inspired, but every single day until the new version of you becomes your baseline. And that's what this ritual is designed to do. Let's break it down into 3 powerful parts. Stillness. Reclaim your power before the world touches you, before the phone, before the notifications, before the external world hijacks your energy. Pause. Sit in silence. Feel your breath. Listen to your heartbeat. Remind yourself, nothing out there defines me. This is where the real shift begins, because most people check their phone before they check in with themselves. And that one choice, that 5-second decision, determines whether you start your day in coherence or chaos. Stillness isn't weakness. It's command. It says to your body, I'm not reacting today. I'm choosing. This is how you interrupt the emotional momentum of the past. This is how you step into a new signal before anything happens. Embodiment. Feel the future before it arrives. Now ask yourself the golden question. What does my future self feel like? Not what do they have? Not where do they live? Not who are they with? What do they feel like? Calm, free, magnetic, grateful, unshakably confident? Then here's the shift. You generate that emotion right now without needing proof, without needing permission, without needing it to show up in your reality yet. Because when you feel it before it happens, you collapse time. You stop waiting, you stop wanting, you start being. And when your energy becomes the future, your life has no choice but to match it. 2, 3, identity activation. Act like the version of you who's already there. This is where most people miss it. They meditate, they visualize, they journal, but then they get up and go back to acting like their old self. Not anymore. After stillness and embodiment, you activate the identity. You walk around your home, your work, your day as the version of you who doesn't chase love, doesn't need validation, doesn't shrink to be accepted, doesn't apologize for alignment, doesn't trade peace for potential. You walk like them, speak like them, breathe like them, because every action is a vote for who you're becoming. Let me remind you, this isn't about pretending. This is about remembering you're not creating a new self. You're returning to the one you buried under fear, trauma, and expectations. And every time you repeat this ritual, you're excavating your real self from the ruins of who the world told you to be. Let's summarize the ritual in a sentence. Each day, I sit in silence, feel the future, and act like it's already mine. That's it. 3 steps. Endless transformation, because this isn't about doing something. This is about becoming someone. Now, let me speak to your heart. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You haven't missed your moment. You've just been running the wrong signal. You've just been waking up as your past instead of your potential. But that changes now, because now you have the practice. Now you have the ritual. Now you have the blueprint. The only question is, will you do it? Will you actually show up for yourself before anyone else does? Let me ask you this. What would shift if every day you lived as if your healing already happened? As if your wholeness wasn't up for debate? As if your future wasn't a maybe but a memory in motion? That's what this ritual creates. Coherence, a body, a breath, a mind, and a spirit, all aligned, sending the same signal every single day. And that signal is what makes you magnetic. That signal is what collapses timelines. That signal is what builds a life that can't be shaken by loss, delay, or rejection. This is how you become the signal. Not the seeker, not the beggar, not the chaser. The signal. And when you become the signal, life bends around your frequency. People respond to your energy, not your effort. Opportunities align because of who you are, not what you're pushing for. Love finds you because you stop chasing what you were always meant to attract. So here at Island, the commitment, the shift, the daily ceremony between you and your future self, I no longer wake up as who I was. I wake up as who I choose to become. And I choose coherence. I choose peace. I choose presence. I choose me.